I spent many hours analyzing over 500 top-selling products on sites like Amazon, Etsy, and Faire. What I discovered could save you months of guessing what actually converts. Because while everyone's out here debating design complexity and niche selection, the data reveals 3 patterns that a lot of sellers actually miss. And I'm about to show you exactly what they are. So pattern number 1. The first discovery here, this is something I've been talking about for a while, is that execution is going to beat perfection every single time. You might think that when you're looking at the top charts, you're going to see all of these elaborate, professionally designed masterpieces, but it's actually not the case. Many consistent sellers are using incredibly simple, text-based designs that look like they took 10 minutes to create. It's not because simple is always better, but because they focused on getting the message right instead of making the design perfect. Now, while some sellers will spend weeks perfecting graphics, the successful ones are just testing multiple simple designs so that they can see what resonates without having to put a lot of time into any one thing, because that just doesn't make it easy for you. Something like powered by coffee and chaos, that's going to outsell beautifully illustrated art. Something like surviving being a twin boy mom, one nap at a time, is going to beat a cute family graphic. People just get it right away. The message is going to create the connection, and then the design is going to deliver it. Now, that doesn't mean you have to make ugly products, although I think ugly products do really well. It just means don't let design perfectionism delay market testing. Number 2 might completely change how you think about product selection. So yes, there are broad markets like mom life, coffee lover, things like that. They are, of course, going to generate massive sales. But here's what might blow your mind, is that there are a lot of consistent sellers making serious money in tiny subcategories that most people would ignore. So something like surgical tech humor with dozens of variations, or kindergarten teacher survivor with lots of designs that are selling steadily. Accounting season warrior might have lots of loyal customers. So they're not replacing the big markets, but they're filling the gaps within them. We can't compete with these big sellers who have low prices. So while everyone is fighting for the big things like teacher market share, things like that, the smart sellers are dominating substitute teacher or preschool teacher segments or specific grades. You know what I mean? There's less competition, there's more specific connection, and then that means there's going to be higher conversion rates. I mean, the math is beautiful if you think about it. Would you rather have 0.1% of a million-person market or 10% of 1,000-person market? And 0.1% is grossly overstating it anyway. Now, the third pattern is the smart expansion approach. So most sellers are going to create 10 designs for, let's say, pediatric nurses, hoping that something sticks. But successful sellers, as I see it, do the opposite. They're going to create one design for pediatric nurses, one for high school teachers, one for accountants, and they're just going to do one, and then the niches that get the sales, that's going to get more attention. So if pediatric nurse life sells first as an example, then you create 10 more pediatric nurse designs. Pediatric nurse powered by coffee, pediatric nurse tiny patients, big hearts, pediatric nurse, professional kid whisperer. Now you've seen that it's worth your time to keep making more. But if, let's say, high school teacher problems sells first instead, abandon the pediatric nurses and then focus entirely on high school teachers. So the market is going to tell you which niche specifically wants your designs before you waste time creating inventory. One seller, for example, tested 15 different occupation niches with single designs. 3 sold in the first month. She ignored the 12 that didn't sell. She created 20 plus designs for the 3 winning niches. So the smart sellers, they're letting sales data decide where to spend more time, not gut feelings about what works. I love listening to intuition as a general thing, but for this to just remove all the complication, you want to test wide with singles, find the winners, and go with the data approach. Now, this analysis can really help reveal something crucial about print-on-demand success, which is it's not about finding the perfect niche or creating the perfect design. It is about becoming excellent at pattern recognition, recognizing things like when communities are using specific phrases repeatedly once you start selling a lot in a specific niche, or recognizing when simple designs will outperform the complex ones, recognizing when micro specificity is going to create stronger connections versus broad appeal. Now, the most successful sellers that I analyzed, they were not necessarily the most creative. They were the most observant. They noticed what other people missed and then they acted upon it consistently. And in the day of AI and all this stuff, I mean, it's easier than ever. So here's what this means practically. You do not need expensive design software to start. You don't need to discover some secret, untapped niche. You just need to get better at listening, faster at testing, and create simple versions of your ideas and then let the market tell you what works. Pay attention to how communities actually talk, not how you think they should talk, what you think is funny. Test micro-specific versions of things alongside the broad ones, and then you can compare the results. You'll see most of the time micro is going to do better. Tools like Everbee help make this analysis possible because it shows the real sales data instead of kind of just guesswork estimates and looking at reviews and things. So I'll have a link to that in the description if you'd like to check that out. But generally the data does not lie, but you are going to have to collect it through real market testing, not guesswork. Now, if you would like a complete breakdown, including tools that I use to analyze things and kind of a systematic approach to find opportunities for yourself, I do have a detailed training called Low Hanging System, and it teaches you how you can find kind of overlooked opportunities, create authentic language, and test ideas quickly without having to overthink. So the link for that is in the description. And if this analysis gave you some genuine kind of light bulb insights into print-on-demand strategy, hit subscribe because I am regularly sharing insights based on real data analysis, not just kind of recycled theory of what you might find in other videos, because there are a lot of patterns out there that are waiting to be discovered. The question really is if you're going to start looking for them.